All right. Hey, this is part 2 of that TSL podcast that we're doing about dating multiple women, and the guy who gave a lot of great advice about dating multiple women. If you want to find that podcast, I'll put a link to it in the description down below, and definitely click on those links because why? They're showing you good stuff, man. I guarantee you that there's something on the link that is for this. Man, we've made so many awesome specific PDFs for the guys out there that are all questions that get asked. And we're actually on a call. There's 19 guys on the call right now. It's 10:34 p.m. in Austin. And people ask a lot of questions. We know how to answer them. We have guys who've had the same experiences that you're having, whether it's, dating a girl, getting approach anxiety, getting social anxiety, having bad sex, having sexual dysfunction, being able to escalate, going on the right dates, whatever the hell it is. And there's a PDF for that, right? And we have those there for you. And they're not just, trashy things. They will specifically help you. Why? Because since 2009, we've had a constant flow of guys on these community calls that always have quite a few people that are solving these problems and have been in your shoes before, gotten past it. And, man, they're there to help you. It's just a very, very cool thing. The free board is Austin Men's Development. There's also paid boards, which are pretty awesome. The Men's Development Excellence is what I would recommend. It's really the best first step that you can make. It gets you access to this Wednesday night call as well as our Sunday call. And if you know about our calls, that's like 20 or 30 hours of calls because that Sunday call goes on for 20 plus hours oftentimes. It's pretty crazy. So, and a ton of content and all those PDFs that I talked about. With videos and breakdowns of them and all this cool shit. It's just great stuff. Be a part of our community. We want that. But this is the TSL podcast, which is everything that you could ever want to know about sex, we're answering. And this is one of those questions about the player trying to have a relationship. And this is one of those things that just fucks with guys. I did a consult with a guy on Monday. It's Wednesday now. And he was saying, he's like, man, I love the chase, man. That's where I'm at. I love the chase. He's 34 years old, very successful man, very good with women. He's had a lot of sex with women. And there's a certain point where you just have so much sex, you've gotten everything that you've wanted, and you're like, man, I am on overload. I got to chill out. I want to have a relationship. And in fact, the guy who wrote the multiple relationships thing is like, man, I'm having trouble having one girlfriend, but I know how to have a lot of girlfriends at once. And of course, dudes who haven't experienced that are like, dude, what's wrong with you? It's just one of those things that happens. Happened to me. It's like, man, I want to settle down. It moves into all this stuff. A lot of guilt can come up, but as we find out in our groups, it's not about that guilt. That guilt's a lie. That guilt's bullshit. You got to get rid of that. It's more about this natural urge that at some point, you as a man, two different things here. You as a man are going to want to settle down. All right. You're going to want to have kids. You're going to want to have a house. You're going to want to have that stability. You're going to want to have that certain respect of being a man that does that or something. And because you're not on that side of the fence and society puts such a clear emphasis on this being an accomplishment of masculinity, you kind of want that. But then there's also this natural urge of you wanting that. Those things that society favors that and looks up at it. Also, because part of those are truths. Part of those are things that you're going to feel. And you as a man need to know that's normal. Okay. And you as a man also need to know that these urges that you feel, the worst thing that you can do is react to them. But one of the best things that you can do is attempt to experience them, realize you're going to fuck up and work towards, growing towards them. And one of the best things that you can do is be a part of a men's group and go through this. I mean, and then you get to the other side where there's guys who are in relationships in our men's group and they're like, man, I want to cheat, or I have cheated, or I want to get a divorce, or I want to break up. And how do I do this? And what are the best things? And we really, man, it's something that cannot bypass getting honest and getting real with a group of guys you can trust. That's part of the answer. The answer ultimately is going to come up to you to decide on what's right for you. But you need to have that support system of guys who have experienced, who have failed, and who have accomplished all the different things that you're looking to do. You need to be surrounded with that, because if not, it's theoretical nonsense, and it's usually fueled by hysteria or causes or some stupid shit rather than just the reality of like, hey man, let's do these things, right? Never when it comes down to, you never hear this shit on our calls in this way, but it's like, man, I want to be monogamous, and or a guy might say this. He says, I want to be monogamous, but I just can't do it. I love the chase. I love pussy. Women are just too good. I can't commit. And you never hear a guy give advice, go like, well, you need more integrity, son, or what a man does. You never hear that shit. You hear, man, here's what happened to me, and here's how I learned it, and here's how we walked along these things. Now, remember I said there were two things. One thing was that deal where we kind of see the grass is always greener. We kind of want to be that guy that, we're getting to that age. We've had enough pussy. We're sick of it. Sometimes we feel disgusted by it. Sometimes you walk away from bad sex and you're like, why did I do that to my body? Sometimes we just have bad sex, or the girl just did something fucked up and go, oh man, you feel kind of nasty afterwards. And we start looking at that grass is always greener. But there's another part to monogamy that's such a phenomenon of men that we got to talk about. We have to, because we can't make bad decisions with this. We make bad decisions with this. We get married to who we don't want to be married to. We have kids with who we don't want to have kids with. And we need to realize that these lifelong decisions that we make take a lifetime to make. They take a lot of experience, all right? And I'm somebody who's in a monogamous relationship right now, and have been for the longest period of my life. For 13 years, I wasn't monogamous. I either cheated or had open relationships or whatever it was. But now I haven't. And it's like, it's actually a cool accomplishment. But for the first 18 months of it, it's been almost 5 years now. For the first 18 months of that, I doubted myself being able to do it. And the thing is for guys who are players, guys who have a lot of sex with women, and know the availability of how easy that is. It was funny. I was talking to somebody today and I'm like, no, man, I'm low T Steve now. I don't even know if I could fucking do that shit. I don't know if I could. I think I could. I know all the knowledge of it, but like, man, if you really put that challenge of like, man, just fucking 10 women, how I used to love to fuck 10 women, and just, oh man, I don't know, but that's all right. And, God, that actually brings up another thought of mine that Gary brought up. Smart guy. You should listen to this guy. But that second point is that you're going to feel the urge of monogamy. There's nothing wrong with that. You may be unprepared for it. You may not feel that this is right in your life. You may think this is right in your life, but it's clearly not right in your life. It's where a group of men is huge, because there's going to be a time, let's say you're dating one girl, let's say you're dating 5 women, and one girl, it's just, man, it's so good. It's not just the sex. She's perfect in every way. And maybe she's not perfect, maybe she is, but God, man, it's great. And you want to do all these things. This does not make you a weak man. This makes you a fucking man. This is a part of your bedrock of your strength, is that at one point you're going to go, man, I want to change for this woman. This woman is stepping me up. This woman, I want to give everything to her. No, this woman, no, I want her to have the best. I want to do that. But here's the thing to that thought of a man. This is not a weak man thought. This is something in your DNA. This is something that will happen. You cannot bypass this. I do not know a sexually active man that gives his all to sex. I know some guys who have sex like they're clinical, whatever weird dudes who bypass their emotions in it. But if you give your all to it, you're going to feel this. It's great. You're going to have to learn to make decisions from this. When a woman is with you and you want to give everything to her, you have to go, hey, I want to give this woman everything. And you talk to the dudes on the call and they go, hey, yeah, give her everything, give her. But just know that this is going to start to change. Nothing wrong with it changing. You can let it change. It's going to start to change over a couple months. And after 3 or 4 months, it's going to turn into something different. And that's fine. Let it turn into that. Or maybe your timeline's longer or shorter. It's going to turn into something different. And you have to let it. So let's not make some huge, huge jumps and leaps and commitments that you can't fulfill that are going to come from it. And a guy who's never experienced it, he's going to make those commitments. All right? No big deal. But just if you've experienced it 4 or 5 times, don't keep making those commitments, man. Don't be stupid. Don't get caught in that emotional trap. Don't let that happen. I see a lot of guys who are pickup artists or pro pickup artists or players who've gotten really good and all this stuff, and they were sexually active. They get caught up in the trap and they do it 20, 30 times. And they fall in love and then they think they can't. You build up all these bad beliefs of yourself because you can always access a woman. You can always access a woman that is girlfriend material. You can always get her to fall in love with you, but then you fuck it up. So you think you're fundamentally flawed. No, you just got to learn how to take a step back. You don't always need to blow your emotional load, and it starts to build up all these emotional problems of neediness and need for love and control and all this sort of stuff. Guys need to talk about this. This is for real. Those are two things. Grass is always greener on the other side. Second thing is you're going to feel those monogamous feelings. It's not weak. It's what's going to build your bedrock. It's going to be what's there to start making your decisions of what you need to make is a strong man in your life. When you build up to that, strength comes with working out, with exercise, with experience. It doesn't just come from some knowledge you got or you read it in a book. You have to experience it. It's the best thing about life. But this brings me to another thing, because I hear this stuff, and again, be a part of a men's group. If you're a dude, let's say you're 34, you're 35, let's say you're 40, and you're going, man, I need to have kids someday, and you haven't had kids. All the guys who've had kids that are players never bring up the kids thing because they got that out of the system. They're like, man, guys, it's great. I love being a father, but beware. But they'll still have that player thing of like, God, man, I just got to chase this woman. I see hot women. I want to fuck hot women. I want to pursue that. I never think that now. I don't think of that. It's not a big deal for me. I see a hot woman. I think she's hot as fuck. I think about fucking her. And I think maybe, oh man, that'd be awesome, but it just passes. I don't ruminate on it in the same way that a lot of these guys do. The first 18 months, like I said, it was tough. It was more like, man, I don't think I could do this because I've never done it. Fuck, man, it is too easy to see other women. It is to, blah, 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 blah. But I also had so much pain around it. I mean, dude, guys, look, just let me tell you. I mean, like, I have a lot of experience. And I have a lot of pain, personal pain that comes in relationships. And I also have damage that I caused for other people in relationships. And I didn't want that anymore. And I had experienced everything. I had experienced anything that I wanted to sexually. I have experienced, aside from the different individuals I haven't experienced it with. But if it was like group sex, if it was gangbangs, if it was to have people fall in love with you, if it was to live with two women at once, if it was to, all this sort of stuff, like I've done enough to be satisfied and get that, for lack of a better term, out of my system. Now, some of it wanted to stay in my system, but a lot of it were things that were worked out of stuff that I thought would make me happy. Okay. And so when it got to the point where I wanted to be monogamous and it was very important for me, that really kept me through. And I talked about it. I had these calls, man. I talked about it. I was like, man, I don't know if I could do it. I doubt myself every day. And I don't know. And after a couple months, it was like, wow, I haven't gone 2 weeks, without being monogamous in fucking like 8 years, let alone the 13 full years of just never doing it. Never being consistent with it. After about 18 months, that passed. But just know this. If you're a guy and you're that 40-year-old dude, you want to have kids, or you're 28 or you're 30 or whatever it is, and you're going like, man, I want to commit to this girl. I'm feeling that monogamous feeling. Cool, good, great. But you're going, God, man, but I just want to do this. I need to feel this. I need to feel this. That's fine. That doesn't mean you're fucked up. It doesn't mean you're running out of time. It doesn't mean that you're missing something masculinity-wise. Probably means you have like too much testosterone. But what it means is that you are somebody that probably right now is not the time to be in a relationship. And again, that doesn't mean that you're this guy that's full of integrity that can just commit to being honest and say whatever. It means that you'll probably like blur that line. Some people get hurt. And it'll be a rough time, but that's relationships, man. It's a confusing thing. You're dealing with two people in a heavily emotional area, and it gets crazy. So let yourself do it. Put yourself around a good support system. Go to the Austin Men's Development Board and be a part of that, because you'll find some support there. But I'm going to tell you this: it's a free board, and with free board stuff, there's free board problems. On the Men's Development Excellence Board, that's a board for only people who are paying members. That's a great program to be a part of. There's not a lot of bullshit that comes on that board. All right. If you get to the TSL online boards, the sex and relationship boards, the life excellence boards, all these different things that are like subgroups where we're really specifically working on things. We've developed these communities over the years. You got no bullshit. You got no bullshit. Man, I cannot tell you, I've not had to police a TSL online board or a TSL online sub board in a long fucking time. Man, they're self-sustaining because we're all working on shit. And we're a good community. We get to know each other. We talk to each other on these calls and so on. You want to be a part of that? That's cool. If not, enjoy this podcast. Have a great life. Know that there is a solution to your sexual life, hands down. Man, it's there. And it's fucking great. You can have it. And you may not need me. There's tons of great coaches out there. There's some bad ones too. But man, there are some great people that can help you get the life you want to achieve. There's really no excuse. And with just a year or so, you could change the rest of your life and your sex life by really working on it. So share that message. Go fuck.